Imagine you are 10 years old. The world as you know it has been shattered. The people you love most, your parents, have been taken from you by soldiers. The silence they left behind is deafening, broken only by the cries of your baby sister. Are all she has left. There is no one to help you. There is no map to guide you. There is only one thought in your mind. You must get her to safety. So you tie her to your back, and you begin to walk. With every step, you feel her small body against you and her warm breath on your neck. It's the only thing that tells you she is still alive. The only thing that tells you to keep going. This is not a story about war. This is the story of a 76-mile journey, powered by nothing but a brother's love and a sister's breath. Year is 1945. The war is in its final brutal stages. Across Europe, entire worlds are vanishing overnight. Families are torn apart in the blink of an eye, leaving behind a silence filled with fear. In the midst of this chaos, in a home that was once filled with warmth, that silence had just fallen. The door was broken. The parents were gone. All that remained was a 10-year-old boy named Aaron, and the sound of his infant sister crying in a nearby room. For a child, the world is supposed to be safe. It is supposed to be protected by the strong arms of a mother and father. But for Aaron, that world had just ceased to exist. The Nazi soldiers had come and gone, and with them, the two people he loved most. He was no longer just a boy. In that moment, he became a protector. He looked at his little sister, so small and helpless, and knew a terrible truth. If they stayed, they would be next. They could not stay. He had no plan, no guide, no map marked with a safe path. He only had a name, a whisper of a place he had heard adults speak of, Hungary. To his young mind, Hungary was not a country. It was a promise of safety. It was 76 miles away, a distance that would be difficult for a grown man, let alone a small boy carrying the weight of his sister and the weight of the world on his shoulders. But he had no choice. Aaron found the strongest cloth he could. He carefully wrapped his sister, securing her to his back. He could feel her small heart beating against him. He whispered to her, telling her they would be safe. Then he opened the door to a cold, unforgiving world and took his first step into the unknown. The journey had begun. Each step was an act of defiance. Each mile was a battle against hunger, cold, and exhaustion. The days blurred into a desperate routine. He walked until his legs ached, until the sun went down, until he could not take another step. He had no food. For a while, he had a few potatoes he had managed to grab before leaving. He learned the currency of survival very quickly. He once found a farmer who looked at him with a glimmer of pity. Aaron held out a potato, his hand trembling, and pointed to the farmer's cow. He didn't use many words. He didn't need to. The farmer understood and gave him a small cup of precious, warm milk for his sister. That milk was a miracle. It was life. Night was the hardest. The cold was a physical enemy, seeping into his bones. Fear was a constant companion. Every shadow seemed to hold a soldier. Every rustle of leaves sounded like approaching footsteps. He had to learn to trust his instincts. He would look for barns, for abandoned sheds, for any small corner where he and his sister could be invisible for a few hours. He would knock on the doors of strangers, his heart pounding. Sometimes a door would slam in his face. Other times a hand would pull him inside, offering a piece of bread or a place by the fire for an hour, no questions asked. These small acts of humanity were beacons of light in his dark world. Throughout the entire journey, he was never truly alone. He could always feel his sister. Her weight was a constant, heavy reminder of his mission. But it was her breath that kept him going. When he felt like collapsing, when the hunger was too much, When the fear threatened to swallow him whole, he would stop and listen. He would feel the soft, warm puff of her breath on the back of his neck. It was a rhythm. In, out, in, out. It was a quiet message. I'm still here. We are still here. Keep going. He would later say he needed no map, because that breath was his only compass. It always pointed him forward. After what felt like an eternity of walking, of hiding, of praying, he saw it, a sign, a different kind of uniform, a place that felt quieter. He had made it. He had crossed into Hungary. He had carried his sister 76 miles to safety. He was exhausted, starving, and just a boy, but he had done the impossible. He had kept his promise. He had saved his sister's life. Both Aaron and his sister survived the war. They grew up, carrying the memory of that impossible journey with them every day. They built new lives from the ashes of their old one. The bond forged in those desperate days was unbreakable. Years went by. The world healed, and so did they. Aaron's sister grew up, fell in love, and had a family of her own. When her first son was born, she looked at his tiny, perfect face, and she knew what his name had to be. She named him Aaron. When asked why, her answer was simple, filled with a lifetime of love and gratitude. She named him after her brother, the boy who had strapped her to his back and walked through a nightmare to save her. She said it was for the brother who gave me life twice, once when she was born, and a second time on a long and desperate road to Hungary.